Hey, what's going on, gang? Here's what we're going to do today. This is the tutorial for the assignment, the laser cut box, and here it is right in front of you. It's all done. How about that? So I already recorded this video, and then I found out that I talked the entire time and did all the steps and everything, and then my recording actually only went about 9 seconds before it stopped. So that's a humongous bummer. All right, so we're going to do a kind of a short version of that here. So first off, I got my box from the Laser Cut Box Maker website that we did in the demo. I plugged in the values that I gave you in the assignment. So that's how I got these pieces. I used about, I think, 1/8 of an inch for the slots up here. So that's like 0.118 or something like that. So we're gonna go make sure, first things first, make sure the slots and the tabs are the same height as my material. Again, the pieces sticking out, that's a tab. The pieces inwards towards the material or towards the piece you're working in, that's going to be a slot. Sometimes slots will be covered on all 4 sides, and sometimes they'll be like they are here where they're only covered on 3. I'm going to go through this checklist, things I need to do for credit. So we're going to make sure you do that as well so you can get a full grade on the assignment. Let's go ahead to measure these slots up here. First thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom in on this piece right there. A little too close, but we'll work with that. I'm gonna scroll up. I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a box and make sure it's about the same size as this box. So again, I'm testing to make sure this piece right here, this slot, is the same height as the thickness of my materials because we're gonna be laying them 3-dimensionally across one another. All right, so my height is 114. That's good enough for this because again, these have stroke on them, so it's kind of hard to tell if it's in the exact right spot. 114 is pretty close. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. All right, so that means step 1 is complete. Go ahead and grab this, mark off step 1 right there. All right, I'm gonna put my name on one side. Again, this is cut only, so it's gonna be a little more difficult than normal. If you were gonna do an engrave, again, you just do text, you put your name on there, easy as that. But for this, because you only want them to be cut lines, I went ahead and I went to Object, Expand. I expanded my name first, and then I cut out some little slots in here, which with this thickness, you can't really tell. But if I made this a little bit thinner, you can see that there's spaces between them. So this means when the laser cutter comes through, it's going to be cutting out the outside of the box. And then it's going to be cutting out just the inside. So these pieces right here, which means the inside of my E and the inside of my D will stay alive. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quickly. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to make our name. I'm going to do Mr. Snyder once again. And then I'm going to bring it over in the middle. Now, normally I'd bring it right here in the middle, but since this is already there, we don't really need to. Now, if your name doesn't have any inside pieces, if you're super lucky like that, you can just go ahead and you can flip it and make the stroke red, and that should cut if you don't really care if these are cut out. Now, frankly, I think that's kind of lazy. So go ahead and get those cut out. Here's how we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead right here. We click on it. We can see it's still a text file by that line under it and the fact that we can't see the individual lines of the letters as shapes. So we're going to go up to Object. We're going to expand this. And now we see those lines on the inside. So those have been rendered from a text file to a shape file. Now I'm going to grab a rectangle here and I'm going to make that slot or that spacing in my name. Again, I want to save this little inside piece, so I have to make a connection to it, a bridge through here. So I'm going to select both of these. Oh, that's still grouped up. I'm going to go ahead and go right click, ungroup that, just make sure it's this D. I'm going to go to Pathfinder over here, again found in Window, down here, whoops, up there, Pathfinder, and I'm going to go use the divide command. So it's going to divide all these pieces from one another. Divide it, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to ungroup, and then I'm going to reselect just those pieces in the middle like that. I'm going to delete them, and now you can see that okay, there's a little space right there, but that's all right. Laser cutter is going to come through, cut this rectangle, and then cut this backwards C. But because they're there, it'll look normal. All right, let's do that same thing to the E over here. I'm going to make another line. I'm going to run through just like that. Kind of want to make it a little more even. So I have to move it by hand. Let's move it right there. Select both of these. Back to Pathfinder to divide. Right click, ungroup, and I want to reselect just the stuff that was on the inside, get rid of that, and that E is good to go. Again, Pathfinder is a pretty powerful, pretty awesome tool, especially where laser cutting is concerned. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that now. All right, so I got my name, cut lines only. All right, now I'm going to put a cut design on the other 3 sides. Now this is the part that I'm skipping because I'm not going to show you this whole thing, or I'm not going to redo it. So I put a cut line for all my designs. I decided to make it look like a house. You can make an abstract piece. You can make it have letters of your name. You can have it do whatever you want to do, but they have to be cut lines, no engraved lines. Again, if there are any engraved lines on this, my TAs will send you away from the machine and tell you to make them cut lines. Now, one important part about this, I have these squares right here that I've made into a lot of parts. I have them as windows, I have them as doors, but you'll notice they have these little spaces in them between the lines. So the reason I do that again is laser cutter is going to come through, it's going to cut out the whole thing. It's going to cut out the shape of these boxes, so nothing's going to be inside. However, on the doors and the windows, I want these pieces to remain. I could not do it on the windows and just have squares and I could see through it, that's fine. But I want to make it more of an aesthetic design. The door I want to stay there, so the inside, this piece, everything in here has to stay, and to do that we have to bridge our pieces, just like we just did with our letters there. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quickly. We'll come over here to the door, and we're going to make one more slot. So as you can see, I have my line right here in the middle. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go to my pen tool, and if I hover over the line, I get a plus sign. If I don't find that, I can click and hold down, I can go find the add anchor point tool. I can select that, go in here, and I'm going to make 3 points. The reason we make 3 is then we go with our direct selection tool, click on the middle one, or we hit our hotkey A, and then we hit delete, and it makes us a slot, which means the laser cutter, instead of cutting all the way through and cutting out the door, is only going to cut from here to here, and from here to here, and here to here, and so on, allowing these little passages, and therefore the door should stay right where it's at. I went a little all out on this one. I thought it'd be fun to make it look like a house. All right, so there's our 3 sides. That's taken care of. Now we're going to put the Fab Lab logo on the bottom. I already did that, as you can see here. This was provided in Canvas in our modules under this assignment, and you can see it's a special Fab Lab one because it also has the space which the laser cutter will come through and not lose those inside pieces. Again, keeping it aesthetic and keeping it look right. So we can mark that one off. Now we're going to remove 2 out of 4 finger slots from the top piece. So I've already done that, so I'm going to show you how to do it on these ones, and then we'll put them back because we need it to be able to hold up. The reason we take off one of the sides is we want to make sure the top is easier to take off and put on. So again, to remove those slots, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can either create a rectangle right here, and then you can go to divide and join those lines up if you want, or do it the easy way and just go select your box and then go over here. Back where you had the add anchor tool, you can also do a delete anchor tool and go ahead and delete these pieces, or I think you can just do a regular pen tool. Click on them and delete them, and it automatically just does that for you. Just click those points, there you go, and there's your box. But again, we want ours because, again, in the other tutorial I had done that. So we want it to look something like that. To make my piece right here, the finger hole, again, to describe what this is actually going to operate like is it's going to cut out the outside of this piece, and then it's going to cut out these finger holes, and this piece here will remain. That's where you will grab it with your finger to be able to take the lid off and to put it back on again. To make that shape, I'm just going to kind of wing it over here. Here's this piece. I'm going to pull down these corners. You probably don't have a rounded rectangle tool, so again, you can just do that with a regular square or rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and make another rectangle. I'm going to go click and drag, bring it right through the middle. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to align them horizontally like that. I'm going to align them vertically like that, make sure it's right in the middle. They're both selected. I'm going to go to divide once again, right click, ungroup. I'm going to select the inside pieces, and there it is. That's pretty close to the original one I made. All right, got that one taken care of. Next thing, I'm going to add a finger. Oh, got that one. I'm going to be creative and clever. Yes, I think so. And last but not least, we're going to copy this object onto another artboard and another document and turn in as your last name, Laserbox. So when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and grab everything here except for the black words. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go Control C, Control N to make myself a new document, 12 by 12. 1 artboards, make sure it's an RGB, create. I'm going to paste this down, and then there it is. Last thing I want to do if I'm trying to send this to the laser cutter So I'm going to select all these. I'm going to double click to make sure my red color is correct, and it is. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make my stroke point 001. And there we go. You can kind of see it. It's there. And I'm going to save that as whatever your last name is, Laserbox. There it is.